1. The little girl started crying. She, her doll, and no one was able to find it for her. A. Has lost. B. Had lost. C. Was losing. D. Was lost.
Answer, B. Had lost. The little girl started crying. She had lost her doll, and no one was able to find it for her.
Cô bé bắt đầu khóc, cô ấy đã làm mất con búp bê của mình, và không ai có thể tìm thấy nó cho cô ấy.
2. Next week when there, a full moon, the ocean tides will be higher. A. Will be. B. Will have been. C. Is being. D. Is.
Answer, D. Is. Next week when there is a full moon, the ocean tides will be higher.
Tuần tới khi trăng tròn, thủy triều ở đại dương sẽ cao hơn.
3. David and Peter, to live next door to each at one time. A. Had uses. B. Used. C. Were used. D. Have used.
Answer, B. Used. David and Peter used to live next door to each at one time.
David và Peter từng sống cạnh nhà nhau một thời gian.
4. It would have been a much more serious accident, fast at the time. A. He drove. B. Was he driving? C. Had he been driving? D. He had driven.
Answer, C. Had he been driving. It would have been a much more serious accident had he been driving fast at the time.
Nó sẽ là một vụ tai nạn nghiêm trọng hơn nhiều nếu anh ta lái xe nhanh vào thời điểm đó.
5. He promised to telephone. I have never heard from him again. A. But. B. Except. C. Although. D. Because.
Answer, A. But. He promised to telephone, but I have never heard from him again.
Anh ấy hứa sẽ gọi điện nhưng tôi chưa bao giờ nghe tin từ anh ấy gọi lại.
6. She came in quietly. Not to wake the baby. A. As if. B. So as. C. Such as. D. If so.
Answer, B. So as. She came in quietly so as not to wake the baby.
Cô ấy vào trong lặng lẽ để không đánh thức đứa bé.
7. I had to get up early, I'd have missed the train. A. Despite. B. Otherwise. C. Or else. D. However.
Answer, B. Otherwise. I had to get up early, otherwise I'd have missed the train.
Tôi phải dậy sớm, nếu không tôi đã bị lỡ chuyến tàu.
8. Be careful. Don't your drink on the table. A. Spill. B. Spread. C. Flood. D. Flow.
Answer A. Spill. Be careful. Don't spill your drink on the table.
Hãy cẩn thận. Đừng làm đổ đồ uống của bạn trên bàn.
9. Of all the staff, I would like to wish you a happy retirement. A. Instead. B. In place. C. On behalf. D. On account.
Answer C. On behalf. On behalf of all the staff, I would like to wish you a happy retirement.
Thay mặt toàn thể cán bộ công nhân viên, tôi xin chúc bạn nghỉ hưu vui vẻ.
10. And, make yourself at home. John. A. Yes, can I help you? B. Not at all, don't mention it. C. Thanks, same to you. D. That's very kind, thank you.
Answer D. That's very kind, thank you. And make yourself at home. John, that's very kind, thank you.
N. Cứ tự nhiên như ở nhà. John, thật là tử tế, cảm ơn.
11. The about traveling by train rather than by car is that you can sleep or road during the journey. A. Enjoyable. B. Enjoyed. C. Enjoying. D. Enjoyment.
Answer D. Enjoyment. The enjoyment about traveling by train rather than by car is that you can sleep or road during the journey.
Điều thú vị khi đi bằng tàu hỏa hơn ô tô là bạn có thể ngủ hoặc đi bộ trong suốt cuộc hành trình.
12. Now, don't tell anyone else what I've just told you. Remember, it is A. Confidence. B. Confident. C. Confidential. D. Confidentially.
Answer C. Confidential. Now, don't tell anyone else what I've just told you. Remember, it is confidential.
Bây giờ, đừng nói với ai khác những gì tôi vừa nói với bạn, hãy nhớ rằng, nó là bí mật.
13. I'm afraid we don't have any size in stock, madam. A. Higher. B. Large. C. Greater. D. Taller.
Answer B. Large. I'm afraid we don't have any large size in stock, madam.
Tôi e rằng chúng tôi không có bất kỳ kích thước lớn nào trong kho, thưa bà.
14. The manager did not offer her the job because of her untidy A. Sight. B. View. C. Presence. D. Appearance.
Answer D. Appearance. The manager did not offer her the job because of her untidy appearance.
Người quản lý đã không mời cô làm việc vì ngoại hình không gọn gàng của cô.
15. Amount of money can buy true friendship. A. Never. B. None. C. No. D. Not only.
Answer C. No. No amount of money can buy true friendship.
Không có số tiền nào có thể mua được tình bạn chân chính.
16. He was unable to his niece's wedding as he was ill. A. Be present. B. Visit. C. Attend. D. Assist.
Answer C. Attend. He was unable to attend his niece's wedding as he was ill.
Anh ta không thể tham dự đám cưới của cháu gái mình vì anh ta bị ốm.
17. You will have to your holiday if you are too ill to travel. A. Call off. B. Cut down. C. Back out. D. Put aside.
Answer A. Call off. You will have to call off your holiday if you are too ill to travel.
Bạn sẽ phải tạm hoãn kỳ nghỉ của mình nếu bạn quá ốm để đi du lịch.
18. Leave it in the oven until it brown. A. Turns. B. Colors. C. Changes. D. Cooks.
Answer A. Turns. Leave it in the oven until it turns brown.
Để nó trong lò nướng cho đến khi nó chuyển sang màu nâu.
19. I can't possibly lend you any more money, it is quite out of the A. Order. B. Practice. C. Place. D. Question.
Answer D. Question. I can't possibly lend you any more money, it is quite out of the question.
Tôi không thể cho bạn vay thêm tiền nữa, nó hoàn toàn nằm ngoài vấn đề.
20. I wonder who drank all the milk yesterday. It have been Maria because she was out all day. A. Can't. B. Must. C. Could. D. Needn't.
Answer A. Can't. I wonder who drank all the milk yesterday. It can't have been Maria because she was out all day.
Tôi tự hỏi hôm qua ai đã uống hết sữa, đó không thể là Maria vì cô ấy đã ở ngoài cả ngày.
21. I'll show you around the city when you to visit me. A. Come. B. Are coming. C. Will come. D. Will be coming.
Answer A. Come. I'll show you around the city when you come to visit me.
Tôi sẽ đưa bạn tham quan quanh thành phố khi bạn đến thăm tôi.
22. For Mary for the last 2 hours, but she still hasn't arrived. A. Am waiting, B. Have been waiting, C. Was waiting, D. Had been waiting.
Answer, B. Have been waiting. I have been waiting for Mary for the last 2 hours, but she still hasn't arrived.
Tôi đã đợi Mary trong 2 giờ qua, nhưng cô ấy vẫn chưa đến.
23. I'm absolutely no good at all, any kind of sport. A. With, B. On, C. At, D. For.
Answer, C. At. I'm absolutely no good at all at any kind of sport.
Tôi hoàn toàn không giỏi môn thể thao nào.
24. I'd have told you if I, the book. A. Had seen, B. Should have seen, C. Saw, D. Would have seen.
Answer, A. Had seen. I'd have told you if I had seen the book.
Tôi đã nói với bạn nếu tôi đã xem cuốn sách.
25. He refused to give up work, he'd won $1 million. A. Despite, B. However, C. Even though, D. As though.
Answer, C. Even though. He refused to give up work even though he'd won $1 million.
Anh ấy không chịu từ bỏ công việc mặc dù anh ấy đã kiếm được $1 triệu.
26. There was nothing special about his clothes, from his flowery tie. A. But. B. Except, C. Other, D. Apart.
Answer, D. Apart. There was nothing special about his clothes apart from his flowery tie.
Không có gì đặc biệt về quần áo của anh ấy ngoài chiếc cà vạt hoa của anh ấy.
27. You can use my bicycle, you bring it back tomorrow. A. As long as, B. Although, C. Nevertheless, D. In spite of.
Answer, A. As long as. You can use my bicycle as long as you bring it back tomorrow.
Bạn có thể sử dụng xe đạp của tôi miễn là bạn mang nó trở lại vào ngày mai.
28. He missed the lecture, so I lent him my notes. A. After, B. Afterwards, C. At last, D. Finally.
Answer, B. Afterwards. He missed the lecture, so I lent him my notes afterwards.
Anh ấy bỏ lỡ bài giảng, vì vậy tôi đã cho anh ấy mượn sổ ghi chép của mình sau đó.
29. Troon, why do you think most people learn English? Phong. A. All of them are. B. I heard it was very good. C. Very often it's to get a better job. D. Because I like it.
Answer, C. Very often it's to get a better job. Troon, why do you think most people learn English? Phong, very often it's to get a better job.
Trung, tại sao bạn nghĩ hầu hết mọi người học tiếng Anh? Phong, rất bình thường, là để có công việc tốt hơn.
30. John, what kind of job would you like? Mike. A. Is there a good chance of promotion? B. I heard it was very good. C. Anytime after next week. D. Anything to do with computers.
Answer, D. Anything to do with computers. John, what kind of job would you like? Mike, anything to do with computers.
Dung, bạn muốn làm công việc gì? Mai, bất cứ điều gì làm việc với máy tính.
31. Martin was very, of what he had done. A. Shame. B. Shameful. C. Shamed. D. Ashamed.
Answer, D. Ashamed. Martin was very ashamed of what he had done.
Martin rất xấu hổ về những gì mình đã làm.
32. Peter opened the door of the cellar, wondering what he might find. A. Cautious. B. Cautiously. C. Cautional. D. Cautionally.
Answer, B. Cautiously. Peter cautiously opened the door of the cellar, wondering what he might find.
Peter thận trọng mở cửa hầm, tự hỏi mình có thể tìm thấy thứ gì.
33. That large dog is perfectly, and has never been known to attack anyone. A. Harming. B. Unharmed. C. Harmless. D. Harmful.
Answer, C. Harmless. That large dog is perfectly harmless and has never been known to attack anyone.
Con chó lớn đó hoàn toàn vô hại và được biết chưa bao giờ tấn công bất kỳ ai.
34. He kindly offered to me the way to the station. A. Explain. B. Direct. C. Describe. D. Show.
Answer, D. Show. He kindly offered to show me the way to the station.
Anh ấy vui lòng chỉ cho tôi đường đến nhà ga.
35. Several items of were found on the river bank. A. Clothes. B. Dress. C. Costume. D. clothing.
Answer D. Clothing. Several items of clothing were found on the river bank.
Một số mặt hàng quần áo được tìm thấy trên bờ sông.
36. Nobody knows what of the explosion. A. Source. B. Cause. C. Reaction. D. Reason.
Answer B. Cause. Nobody knows what the cause of the explosion.
Không ai biết nguyên nhân của vụ nổ là gì.
37. The discovery was a major, for research workers. A. Breakthrough. B. Breakdown. C. Break in. D. Breakout.
Answer A. Breakthrough. The discovery was a major breakthrough for research workers.
Khám phá này là một bước đột phá lớn đối với những người làm công tác nghiên cứu.
38. Me to phone them before I go out. A. Remind. B. Remember. C. Mention. D. Make.
Answer A. Remind. Remind me to phone them before I go out.
Nhắc tôi gọi điện cho họ trước khi ra ngoài.
39. Please, and see us sometime. You're always welcome. A. Come to. B. Come about. C. Come around. D. Come away.
Answer C. Come around. Please come around and see us sometime. You're always welcome.
Vui lòng đến xung quanh và gặp chúng tôi một chút thời gian, bạn luôn được chào đón.
40. The police are looking for a man of height. A. Medium. B. Extra. C. Tall. D. Special.
Answer A. Medium. The police are looking for a man of medium height.
Cảnh sát đang tìm kiếm một người đàn ông có chiều cao trung bình.
41. Henry will not be able to attend the meeting tonight because A. He must teach a class. B. He will have teaching a class. C. He will teach a class. D. He will be teaching a class.
Answer D. He will be teaching a class. Henry will not be able to attend the meeting tonight because he will be teaching a class.
Henry sẽ không thể tham gia cuộc họp tối nay vì anh ấy sẽ dạy một lớp học.
42. We, for 3 hours and are very tired. A. Are walking. B. Have been walking. C. Were walking. D. Had been walking.
Answer, B. Have been walking. We have been walking for 3 hours and are very tired.
Chúng tôi đã đi bộ trong 3 giờ và rất mệt mỏi.
43. Mary was sacked, wasn't surprising. A. That, B. For that, C. Which, D. For which.
Answer, C. Which. Mary was sacked, which wasn't surprising.
Mary bị sa thải, điều này không có gì đáng ngạc nhiên.
44. I don't suppose you like pineapples. A. Do, B. Do you, C. Don't I, D. Don't you.
Answer, D. Don't you. I don't suppose you like pineapples, don't you?
Tôi không cho là bạn thích dứa, phải không?
45. The severe drought occurred last summer ruined the corn crop. A. It, B. That, C. That it, D. Which it.
Answer, B. That. The severe drought that occurred last summer ruined the corn crop.
Đợt hạn hán nghiêm trọng xảy ra vào mùa hè năm ngoái đã làm hỏng vụ ngô.
46. I have always wanted to visit Paris. Of France. A. Is the capital, B. The capital, C. Which the capital is, D. That is the capital.
Answer, B. The capital. I have always wanted to visit Paris, the capital of France.
Tôi luôn muốn đến thăm Paris, thủ đô của nước Pháp.
47. Have you seen the place the graduation ceremony will be held? Yes, it's big enough to hold 5,000 people. A. Where, B. In that, C. Is where that, D. Which.
Answer, A. Where? Have you seen the place where the graduation ceremony will be held? Yes. It's big enough to hold 5,000 people.
Cậu đã thấy nơi tổ chức lễ tốt nghiệp chưa? Vâng, nó đủ lớn để chứa 5.000 người.
48. How's your class this term? Great, I have 17 students, most of, speak English very well. A. Who, B. Whom, C. Those, D. Which.
Answer, B. Whom? How's your class this term? Great. I have 17 students, most of whom speak English very well.
Lớp của bạn thế nào trong học kỳ này? Tuyệt, tôi có 17 học sinh. Hầu hết đều nói tiếng Anh rất tốt.
49. The city, at one time prosperous, for it enjoyed a high level of civilization. A. Must have been, B. Can have been, C. May have been, D. Was.
Answer A. Must have been. The city must have been at one time prosperous, for it enjoyed a high level of civilization.
Thành phố hẳn đã có một thời thịnh vượng, vì nó có một trình độ văn minh cao.
50. We, out yesterday because it A. hadn't gone was raining, B. didn't go rained. C. didn't go was raining, D. didn't go had been raining.
Answer C. Didn't go, was raining. We didn't go out yesterday because it was raining.
Hôm qua chúng tôi không đi chơi vì trời mưa.
Thanks for watching.